it, it's all warmed up, it'll sit at a light or whatever, stop, it'll actually shake a bit. Doesn't seem to, you can't feel the effects when you're driving once you get the RPMs up off idle, but something ain't right. The left bank doesn't do that. Alright, another adventure. So this time I got something a little disconcerting. I've got a kick in this thing. It's like a misfire. It's a hard misfire, like you can feel it. But it's intermittent. I ran my codes. I got a 1406 code, which tells me which refers to the EGR valve. So I'm going to change the EGR valve, but I'm not sure that has to do with this. But I know that's a problem, so I'm going to take care of that one. You got 5 other O2 sensor codes, but they're in my case pretty much irrelevant because most of them are gone anyway. So anyway, it's just random. So the kicks here, I'll see if I can get it on recorded here. But other than that, that's what we're going to be doing this time. Hopefully I can make it to where I'm going back and forth. Alright, here we go again. This thing's been bouncing quite a bit. Let's see. Feels like when the torque converter locks up. So there we go, right there. Yeah, I guess it's still kind of hard to pick it up, isn't it? Certainly feel it in my butt. Okay, this time I'm not going to get into all the minute details too much. I have that hard kick miss when this thing goes into top gear, which I think is the converter closing. It's the last, what feels like a shift. No codes for any misfire, so I am going to pull the plugs and have a look at them in case something bad like blown head gasket or something like that. I'm going to start with that and see if we can find anything. Hopefully nothing. I don't have the scanner to track whether the fuel injectors are working, and that's going to be the next thing. If I don't find anything there, I'll have to take it to a shop that's got a better code checker. Like I said, my fuel injector spider I replaced was one of the first things I did 131,000 miles ago in 2009, 8, 9, somewhere in there. So 15 years ago. So it won't surprise me if I got an issue there. If I do, I'm just going to replace the whole thing again. But let's get the plugs out of it and see if maybe that's what's causing my kick. Alright, let's do that. Okay, so far left bank looks good to me. Here, a little brown, a little bit brown. This one's got a little stuff on it, but you know, don't see any problems with that. I'm going to leave them out. I'm going to go ahead and fire this thing. Well, not fire it up. I'm going to turn it over when I get all the plugs out of it. Just see, make sure nothing liquefied comes out of there, like coolant or whatever. I really should have, well, would have done it when it was cool. Take the radiator cap off and start it up and see if I have any bubbles in there. But this will work for now. Got those out of there. The only thing, if you're doing this, I need a universal socket for the second one back, because putting a short extension won't clear my intermediate steering shaft. Had to go to double length for the ones in the back because they're a little harder. Had to get up on a chair here. Oh, my back is sore. Get too old for this. Anyway, keep track of where your plug wires go. Mine are pretty much easy to see the way I have them set up, and they only reach where they go. So, all right, on the right side, bank 2. All right, here's bank number 2, I believe it is. Any problems there either? I am going to check the gaps. I know it's ridiculous, like 60 thousandths or something. I'll go ahead and double check that. I'm going to go ahead and clean them up. All I can do is wire brush them. I don't have a bead blaster any longer. Access to one. Only tricky part over here, the worst part of this whole thing, is getting the plug boots off. And it did manage to get some blood. On this side, the only hazard is this stinking clamp right there, which I'm not bleeding amazingly over there, but somehow I got into that. So I'm gonna let's turn this thing over and see if anything nasty comes out. All right, that was about 10 seconds. Smell gas. Don't see nothing out there. What I'm looking for is any kind of coolant spewed out, and the right one's the one I've always had issues with. So that's the one that farts. I don't see anything. Alright, let me clean these plugs up, see what the gap is. Guess I'm gonna have to get it to a shop that's got a better checker and see. I'll go online and see what the spider costs anyway. I may just go ahead and replace that thing just because. Anyway. Yeah, that's funny. I was gonna say, let me go look at my owner's manual. Doesn't have it. I was getting ready to look up the spark plug gap and try to find the maintenance manual. I remembered. Hey, it's right here on the sticker, and I was right. 60 thousandths. So also has your belt routing. No adjustments. Everything is automatically controlled. I like that. All right, 60 thousandths. Clean those up and check them. Well, it's interesting. All 4 on the left side, I think one, were crunched a little bit too much. I had to open all 4 of those up. The ones on the right were fine. I'm not going to recommend doing it the way I do. I just use a pair of pliers. Pretend I'm not showing you this, because get a gapping tool. Get a gapping tool. I grab a hold of them like that, and I give them a little bit of, I'm not telling you that though. And then sometimes you got to tap them back down just a wee bit. But 60,000, that's a pretty good gap. 60,000. Spark plug food protector when you buy a new set of plug wires. You know what? I don't think they come with it anymore. 99 cents it used to be. I'm not sure what they charge you now. Probably $3. But they give you plenty, so I'm gonna smear it on the outside of the plug this time when I put these plug wires and these plugs in. I went ahead and put it on the inside of the boot, so it's still got a little bit in there, so I'm just going to goop it onto the outside here, and I'm using some professional anti-seize. I'll put just a little bit. I think you can get that in little packets like that up at the front counter too. So as I kill deer flies. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them back in. I didn't see any coolant, so I'll run it again like that and see what's what, but then I'm probably gonna have to take it over and have it checked out thoroughly for real, the real scanner. And just to mention, I do not recall checking the gap on these plugs when I put them in originally, and I don't recall off the top of my head if the box that they come in tells you what gap they are set at. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, but that's a good example. When you get some plugs, before you install them, double check them to see what your gap, they match your gap, other than just assuming that whatever those plugs are going to be proper for your installation. That may save you a little bit of issues. I don't think I checked these, and I don't recall if it has it on the thing, so I'll have to look into that too, just for future reference. Okay, well, nothing else, it's back to running. Look at that, no miss at idle. Well, we'll take it out and see how it feels, but I got a feeling. Okay, well, I checked with the local shop here who's got some better equipment, and I've been informed that old trucks like this, the computer does not have the capability of checking the flow on the fuel injectors. His suggestion was a lot of times the plug wires do not hold up on these. He suggests Belden wires, which I think come from Napa, but in my case, sometime in the past, I bought a set of Duralast gold plug wires from AutoZone, and the beauty of that is they come with a lifetime warranty. So I have procured another set, and these as well have a lifetime warranty. I gotta see if I can find the paperwork on that. I've got the paperwork on this, so this is basically going to be free. I've got 20,000 miles and 2 years on them. Got nothing to lose. Take a little time to swap them out here. I think this is a T15. This little cheap Apex is not marked, so I can't tell for sure, but I got this out for some reason. On my particular installation, the aluminum boss on the distributor is broken out, so there's nothing for that screw to go into. So I put a tie wrap across the top of that, which is why I have the dikes. So I tie wrap it down. I've been doing that since 2008 or so. 16 years it's worked out. So don't worry about changing my distributor. These are all the same size torque bits. So what I'm going to do, these are all marked. You basically, if you're going to change them one by one, you go by length. In this case, I'm going to pull the distributor cap, lay it down beside here, and match up the wires, since these are the same wires that are on there now. This, of course, is the coil wire. I'll lay it down over here, just match the same wires. And put it back in, and of course you get another set of wire looms and things. This is from the last time I did it 2 years ago. Tie wraps. I always use real tie wraps. What that means, these are mil-spec. They have the TY number on them. The difference between all the cheap crap out there in the world and these is, if you can see in there, these have a stainless steel tab. These actually lock. They do not slip back through. All the cheap stuff has plastic little lock tabs in them, and they're basically useless. So anyway, these doesn't say, if you ever get any tie wraps, get the real deal. These are the real things. They'll have a TY number on them. Thomas & Betts makes them. Mil-spec. Alright, so let's get to it. Hopefully this won't take very long. My back's going to kill me for leaning over. I just have to keep an eye on which ones are which. In fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and mark. I'll go ahead and mark the wires with my little white paint marker. And even though they are marked on the distributor cap, it'll make it easier as they're hanging over here. So much nicer than it used to be, where the distributor cap had the tower on the top of it and the wires had to cross over on either side to go. These are all, they've worked it on the inside. You see all those pathways, so that now these terminals no longer have to do with the ones that are right next to them. So this, as it goes around, it's going to hit the right firing order. So it's a lot easier. They put all the wires just sticking right out the side. I think it goes like that. We'll find out. One or the other. I can't remember which way the coil wire goes. I think maybe it's a 5, 3, 7, 1. Tell you the truth, right at the moment I forget which cylinder's which. We'll find out in a minute. Alright, let's get to it. So this is kind of misleading. I have this big long screwdriver out here. This does not fit in there. But continuing along with somehow sometimes things work out. I happen to have this magnetic bit holder sitting in my console because I was taking this to another location, and it happens to fit, of course. So the T15 goes in there. This is short enough to reach back in there on top of the distributor and give it a good twist to take that back screw out. The front one, like I said, is kind of loose. So cool. Still, things are still working out. I was trying to use this flathead, which on the new one it actually seemed like it would go inside there. That's not the really way you want to do it. They have, you know, screwdrivers with these tips on them instead of a Phillips tip. They actually have the T-Torx thing on them. That's a good way to do it. Or this worst case scenario, I would have got a 1/4-inch socket, put it on my 1/4-inch drive ratchet and tighten it up, loosen it up that way. I may have to do that to tighten it up, but not too much so I don't break anything. Anyway, now I gotta get stinking locks. I remember how these locks, this thing's locked back down there because of these locks back here. I forget, I gotta look at them. You pull them away or pry them or something. I just saw my video. I'm not gonna go into details too much because I did a video on tuning it up, and there's plenty of other videos that show how to do that. And this is not what this is about. Changing these wires, just a way to eliminate that as an issue. Either it fixes it or it tells me my fuel injection system is kaput, which is what I think anyway. So I'll figure out these clip things and get that off of there. Take the distributor cap up through the middle, take the wires back through both sides, and then duplicate it over here. You see the lock open on that loom back there too? Look at that. Alright, cruising. Okay, got it out. One of the things I want to do while I take a look at this thing, I think about plug wires. I got some, looks like some exhaust leakage going on these plug wires. But more importantly, take a look in here. Now I got to get a second opinion on this, but see the position of the, we'll call it corrosion marks, the contact points between the rotor and the cap, and they all seem to be to the right. I'm assuming that's, I don't know which way that is, which is that way. Let's see, 1735, 64. Trying to remember what the firing orders. So it's, this would be 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 3, 6. I can't remember what the firing orders, which direction that goes. Anyway, so it's either too early or too late is what it looks like to me. I'll have to check that out. And you can see same thing on there on the rotor contact, that it's on one side. Where is it? There it is. So I'm gonna go check on that. It's a possibility. I'll make note of which screws you have for your rotor. You get 2 sizes in the package. Mine are little shorties, and I did end up getting my little short ratchet, which actually worked out the best anyway. I managed to get them out by hand, but I had to put them back in because they've got this little thread locker in them, and they make sure you get them going straight, but they don't go very far until they start locking up on you. I was going to definitely make sure you put plug grease on there. Another little possible leakage mark right there. Aha! That is definitely not good. Wow, I would not have suspected anything like that. There's definitely a problem right there. Wow, okay. It's looking better that it's a plug wire issue. And cool, well, we'll get them swapped over and see if that takes care of it. And then I'm going to check on what the deal is with this timing, but it looks like maybe a timing issue. Maybe things are wearing out in the distributor. We'll see. And even though this isn't a tune-up video, I'll go ahead and get you a paint marker that I was talking about before. Things are fantastic. Shake them up. Sharpie paint marker. And I'm going to go ahead and mark the new wires anyway. Also, there's a time you transfer any of the wire looms that are attached. Like these right here and anything like that. You go ahead and put them on. So you know where they're going to end up going. And this, if you look at this, this is how those things work. It fits in there, so you got to push that in. Theoretically, you'd think you'd be able to push that back and pop it out, but the real pain in the butt. You usually end up having to take a screwdriver and shoving it in that end to pop it out. Pull on one, push on there, they're a pain in the butt. These, of course, just pop on over, and you got plenty. So when you install it, you can clip these things in with the wire looms, makes it all nice and neat and tidy and look professional and everything. And man, am I surprised and disappointed. And well, I'm glad. I'm happy to find something. That is unbelievable. I mean, it looks like somebody cut it. Other than the rough edges on it, you'd think, wow, somebody just sliced that. But that has popped all on its own. Unbelievable. So I don't know what the rest of them are, but if one's gone, then there chances are they're all on the verge. So you put these boots in, make sure you get a real nice, good, solid. Well, now I got them stuck in there. Hold on. Can't do it, they're all in there. You'll hear a nice, good, solid click in there when they go in. You don't have to worry about boot grease on them because you're not going to be taking the plug wires off and changing them without the cap. So, ooh, there we go. Let's put the new coil wire on. So we can get that nice sound. I can do it. Hold on. Yeah, didn't sound as good. You heard that little clunk. Make sure you get a clunk clunk. They're all. I put on the wrong one. Ah. Take two. Let's try this again. Let's put it on the new one. How about? See if the new one makes a good sound. About the same. Anyway, make sure they're all pushed up good and even. Now we go weave our way in there. I've had time for these things to dry, so the numbers. This thing back together. Let's see if that's our problem. I hope so. Now this one clip in the back is broken on me. It goes in the back corner. Well, we've got enough extra stuff we can get it all back together here. And once again, not do a tune-up video, but I take some plug grease and put it on a little round object smeared around inside the plug boots. If you have an old spark plug, if you're doing a tune-up, you can smear it around the spark plug and run in and out of those things, because you want to be able to get those back off. These I don't really worry about, because when you're going to change the cap and rotor and the plugs, even if you're not going to change the plug wires, say at the first time you do a tune-up, 50,000 miles or something, I don't know what the recommended is. I think that's about what I do them on. You'll have this thing off of here, you can get some traction, you can pull them off. I also do the coil wire here, because this you're going to have to come off too. So, yeah, continuing. Now I'm going to feed this thing down the middle and put the wires back down on either side, and slap it on in there. Oh yeah, one more thing. These are screws I took out of my distributor cap, and these are what they give you. They always give you a long pair, but so hang on to those. I'm going to put the ones back in it, even though the little thread lockers pretty much, yeah, it's still there. Huh. So one of them doesn't do anything anyway, but I'm going to put the ones that are in there as opposed to the ones that they give you, because there's a little more engagement on there, just because the little difference. I'm going to go back to the original. So. Alright, here's what mine looks like. You got plenty of these little doubles, so that's one of the factory ones. And the ones back here, what is over this 4 and 6, 5 and 7. Yeah, it looks really great. I tied them up back there anyway. I don't love this part right here, but with the 2 clippers, I just clip them all so that they're all kind of tied together into their factory looms and back up. My coil wire run underneath the back over there. Tie wrap goes across this side, hold the cap down, screw in the back works. So that's what mine looks like. I'm gonna put this thing back together. When I started this whole operation, I got sidetracked because my intake has a couple of big holes torn into it. You can see right here, I put a copper, I think it's copper, brass plate across it. JB quicked it, and you can see where it's rubbing right there. So what I really need to do there, I think it's right here. I need to see if I've got some of that rubber edging, or get some red RTV. I'll put this in there as a cushion. Maybe I'll put that over there too. Red RTV, and make myself a little bead there so it sits on the red RTV. To do that a lot of times in aviation, keep things together and hold them apart. And I got to do something there because that's eating into that edge there. Anyway, so I'm gonna figure something out there. Alright, well this is the right bank now after changing the plug wires and cap and rotor. No farting, oddly enough. The number 1 plug wire is on the left bank. It was on this side, and this side really wasn't farting. But I gotta say, it looks pretty conclusive that the 2-year-old ignition leads were the cause of the fart in my exhaust system. No codes. For some reason the computer didn't trigger any codes for the misfire. Yeah, I say I'm a happy camper. Fuel injectors are still hanging in there, it looks like. Okay, so far so good. Idle smooth. Let's give it the ultimate test here. Let's see what happens when we get into high gear. There we just dropped over, I think the converter just kicked in. We got no bucking, no bronking. Of course we knew it was going to be better finding that broken wire. Look at that. I am seriously disappointed. So, unfortunately, a bad review for Duralast gold wires from AutoZone. Those did not. Those are just 20,000 miles in 2 years. That's just wild. I have not seen any problems with plug wires like that since the 70s. And back then, you used to be able to check them by simply going out, popping your hood at night and starting your car up. And broken plug wires, you'd see the little blue sparks shooting out the side of the wires when they were shorting out everything around them. Haven't done that. In fact, I did do that within the last couple of weeks. Didn't see anything, which is remarkable considering that one was pretty much broken in half. But I'm gonna have to go with the recommendation of the Tahoe guy and say Belden wires from Napa or Delco Rummy. If you can get some OEM Delco wires, they're going to be more expensive. In fact, I'll look into that just for fun to see how much more they are. But all I can think is that everything is all made in China now, and boy, it'd be nice to be able to get some American-made products that last like it used to be back in the good old days. Man, it's depressing. Everything's throwaway. So my new recommendation on tune-up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a major tune-up plan for every 25,000 miles now. I'll just change the plugs, cap, the rotor, and the ignition wires, and just plan on doing that every time. And both the cap and rotor, I think the rotor it's only got a 1-year warranty, but I think the cap is lifetime warranty, and the plug wires certainly are. This will be the second time in 2 years that I've gotten a free set of plug wires. So in my case, since I'm so cheap, it saves about 50 bucks. The plug wires are about $50, so I'll just, every 2 years, I'll just change them out every 25,000 miles, and it doesn't cost anything, so if that's as long as they last, well, fine. This thing starts missing, and it's kind of remarkable. Another disappointing thing, that I got no engine code for misfire, and that's just bizarre, considering it was misfiring like crazy. Another thing the Tahoe guy says is these old computers don't like to tell on themselves, is the way he put it. So they're not real good. They don't do anything on fuel injection. It's hard for them to even get a code on misfiring. So this is kind of a transition thing. When I got the 88 Blazer, that's when I learned that engine codes, basically whatever sensor they're referring to is telling you that the sensor is faulty, not it reads, you know, an oxygen sensor's reading the wrong parameters. It's not telling you there's something wrong with the engine that's making the gases wrong. It's the oxygen sensor that is failing. So that's pretty easy. Look at the codes. You get you a cheap code reader. If it tells you whatever sensor is having a problem, they just replace the sensor. Anyway, so far so good. I'm going to either end it here, or I'll look up and see what those expensive wires are. But definitely worth it if you really rely on your vehicle. Don't feel like having to change them because they broke, or just simply do it. Now I know they go 20,000. I'm going to try for 25,000. Any trouble, I'll bring it down to 20,000. Do a tune-up every 20,000. It's kind of remarkable. Anyway, get something out of this, please like and subscribe, as I always say. I gotta remember to put that at the end, because I'm on my way nowhere yet. Alright, maybe it. Take care, good luck.